Today we'll be comparing the four most played solid body guitar types and check how suitable they are for playing jazz on them. Hi my dear jazz guitar friends all over the world, Sandra Sherman here. Greetings from Austria. You'll hear direct sound comparisons, no blah blah, towards the end of this video. I'll talk about the possibilities and the drawbacks and how to get the best jazz tones out of these guitars. And these are the guitars we're going to be comparing: a Gibson Les Paul, a Stratocaster, a Fender Telecaster, and a PRS CE24. Yes, this PRS actually has an F-hole, but it's just a little cavity around the F-hole. The rest of the guitar is actually a solid body guitar. I tested it against its total solid body sibling, and it sounded absolutely the same. I use gauge 10, the Daria nickel string, on all these guitars. So here's the first candidate, my Gibson Les Paul Classic. And it's equipped with the very popular Gibson 57 Classic pickups. And I'm gonna use the neck pickup exclusively because that's what we use on jazz guitars too. Some don't even have a bridge pickup. And I'm gonna have everything open, all volume and tone pots open. And in the case of the Classic Les Paul, it has a boost, which is off right now. So it's good to compare when everything is open and you hear the nature of the guitar better. We're gonna talk about what the best settings will be. All right, let's listen to it. Yeah, that feels a lot like my standard jazz guitar, the Gibson Howard Roberts Fusion. Actually, it has that same fat sounds. Humbuckers are a huge advantage if you want to play jazz on a solid body guitar. All right, this is the Classic 57 and it's used on a lot of jazz guitars too. And if you want to, you could, I think I would roll back. Yeah. Yeah, now it's sweet. That's sweet. I have it rolled back like not too much, it's 8. I think it's around 8. I like my sound not too muddy, so I don't roll back a lot of tone, a lot of heights. This guitar also feels a lot like a jazz guitar. I mean, not like a huge jazz box, but like a semi-acoustic jazz guitar with, you know, the blocks, the sustain blocks in it. It's almost, I mean, I think it's even fatter maybe as than a 335 Gibson. I'm not sure, maybe about the same size. So it's really comfortable for me to have my hand on here and not kind of glide into the guitar like that. So haptically, it feels a lot like a jazz guitar, and sound is pretty good. The neck is also not too skinny, but not too fat. So I would rate this sound-wise 4 or 5 points for sound, and haptic also 4 or 5 points for the feeling, you know, because it's important. Also, another point, if you I use 10s on all my electric guitars. For jazz, I have 12s, Thomas de Genfeld 12s, and here I use the Daria 10s. Yeah. So for a better jazz feeling, if you use a solid body just for jazz, I would put 11s or even 12s on because it changes my way of playing, and I guess it will change yours too, because I don't have to be as careful with, you know, what kind of wobbling the strings. They're easily bendable if it's 10s. So if I don't have to worry about it, especially when I play octaves, that feels so much better on 12s or 11s. So I would put on at least 11s. All right. So this one's pretty good for playing jazz on it. Let's check out the next one. And here's the next candidate, my custom-made Stratocaster, the Sherman Caster, in, don't call her pink, burgundy mist. I love this guitar. I've never played jazz on it. So this is a premiere for me too. Let's see, well, it's got normal specs actually. All the body, a maple neck, and Fat 50s Kinman pickups. They're like the Fat 50s by Fender, but they are noiseless because I hate noise. There's nothing I hate more than noise and cables. I hate cables and noise. All right. Yeah, let's check out some jazz playing on this. Well, well, well. This is a little too much high end for me. It's fizzy. Is that the correct word? Fizzy? Sizzling. Let's roll back the high end to 5. Loses all the mids. It doesn't have a lot of mids anyway. I mean, that's what we love Strats for. So we can have that sound with the double stops and, you know, yeah, that's that kind of sound, but I don't know. The low end is very thin, but it's okay. But this one, the E string, maybe it's my E string, I don't know, but this is really strident. Let's roll it back. Yeah, when I roll it back, it doesn't get any better at all. There's absolutely no mids in this guitar, and jazz needs mids. The Les Paul before had beautiful mids. That was from the humbucker and from the mahogany wood. Actually, that's not my kind of jazz guitar. And gosh, for jazz, this is a skinny girl. Look at this. I mean, that's what all Strats have. I love this Strat to death, really. I play a lot with it, but I don't play jazz for it, and I'm not gonna start with it right now after having heard it and after having getting the feeling not good. You know, the feeling isn't good for me. So sorry to say, I rate you 1 out of 5 for jazz sounds and 1 out of 5 for haptics, for the haptical feeling. Sorry, baby, but you need to play Hendrix and other stuff and whatever great music, but not my beloved jazz. I have other guitars for that. Telecasters are used in jazz a lot. Let's find out why. We have here a Telecaster Deluxe, Fender Telecaster Deluxe, with a scratch plate hand-painted by my brother Nick Sherman. Thanks, bro. And it has an S1 switch, which we'll talk about later. So let's first hear sounds in the neck position, no switch engaged, and everything open, all right? That sounds similar to the Strat, but it's not as fizzy, in my opinion. Let's check. Actually, this has a bypass, so it's locked. If I unlock it, it already sounds different at turning it, rolling it back just a little bit. It definitely has more mids than the Strat. So there's that fuller body that we need in jazz, but in my opinion, it still sounds pretty thin, but it has more mids and there's more of that body. Also, it feels, although this has a belly cut, it is standard fat here, so I can kind of rest my arm on this one pretty nicely. I love Telecaster shapes, because I think they're just really comfortable. All right, let's engage the S1 switch on this model. And there are Strat guitars that have an S1 switch, and I can highly recommend that one because what it does, you activate neck and the bridge pickup, so it becomes kind of a humbucker, and it's the S1 switch switches it in series. This is a push, pull, push, put, whatever putty. So you press it. But let's not press it first and listen to this. It's already a difference. Neck pickup, less mids. Listen, the bass and the mids go up. A lot jazzier. This one, let's roll it back. Let's open it again. Yeah, maybe not, let's not do that. And roll it back a bit. And now let's engage the S1 switch. And here's my jazz sound. A little too many high mids, for my opinion. But the chords are beautiful. For soloing, there is still a bit of that stratty tone in there. But I think chord work is pretty nice. So I would give this, without, in a standard version, without all this S-switch stuff going on, I don't know, I would rate this probably 2 out of 5 for sound and 3 out of 5 points for the haptics, for the feeling. With the S1 switch engaged, I give it a 3 out of 5 points because, especially for chord works, I would even give it 4 out of 5. So I can highly recommend that S1 switch. If you don't have it, well, it's still 2 or 3 out of 5. So this is kind of a good guitar for jazz, in my humble opinion. But since you asked. And here is the last warrior for today. We have a PRS CE24. As opposed to the core line, we have a bolt-on neck. That's the biggest difference, and the neck is maple as opposed to mahogany. The body is mahogany as usual with a maple top. And we have this is a steel block tremolo instead of an aluminum tremolo. All this makes this more Fenderish spankier. It has more spank. If you play a core line, I can tell you right away it will sound jazzier, a bit jazzier than this one. Also, the neck is slimmer than the core lines. Even the pattern thin has a real fat neck. So that's why I chose this one. And all right, I think that was all the differences. It has a splittable coil tap pickups, but we are gonna use the humbucker. Comes closer to jazz, okay? Let's listen to some sounds. Well, I like that sound. We have real nice fat bassy sound again, a lot of mids in here. Although it doesn't sound as, the Les Paul sounded a little muddy in the bass, on the bass strings, just a tad. Well, this definitely is has more attack. It's a little cleaner. Let's hear the high end. Well, there's a lot of high end going on here. Let's roll back. I like the way this tone pod reacts a lot better than on the Strat and the Tele. Because when I turned it back, when I rolled it back on the Tele, especially on the Strat, it became totally matte. There was no while this still has all the full body, it just rolls back the high end. See, it's not mad. The mids don't go away, and the Strat, when I rolled back the tone, but the mids went away. I have all the mids here. It's just the high fizz that goes. I really like that. I'm on between 5 and 6 now. Full. Yeah, that tames the high end. Well, that was 7, even more. Oops. Right? So I think for me that's a 4 out of 5 sound. And haptic, well, haptically it's a little skinnier even than the Tele. Yeah, it's thinner, I think. I didn't measure it. It feels thinner, it is thinner. Feels pretty good, but like maybe 3 out of 5. It's still, I would like it a little fatter, like the Les Paul. That one had a real good jazz feeling for me, you know, like a jazz guitar. This one, I slip a little bit, you know, so it could be fatter for my taste. Other than that, I mean, that's a 24 fret guitar, so it plays a little differently also, because I have high access here, which I rarely ever need in jazz. In jazz, I go up here, which means I'm a lot down here. My arm needs to stretch out a little more, so it feels a little bad, a little stranger. So what did I say before? I think it's 3 out of 5 for me for the haptics and the sound. 4 out of 5, maybe even 5 out of 5. I really like it. I really love it. Let's listen to the direct tone comparisons to find a winner. And I thought it would be fun to compare all these solid body guitars now to a real archtop. I know it's not a fair comparison, but I think in order to help you for a decision to keep your solid body or maybe purchase an archtop, or there is something in between, the semi-acoustic, I can tell you it sounds pretty similar to some of the solid body guitars we've heard. But let's compare it just for fun to this Eastman. It's an AR905 CE. Here we go. And a winner is my Les Paul guitar. Actually, it was a really tight race with the PRS, but the Les Paul won because it feels better. The tone is really pretty much not the same. They have their unique voicings, but actually it goes in the right direction. It's a lot of mids, bass, that's everything that's good for jazz. But this one feels better. It has the thicker, fatter body, and also this one has a 24 fret neck. So this is really not very jazz guitar-like feeling. Well, this is. But I love the sound of this guitar. But so that's why this, the Les Paul is my winner. And the second place goes to PRS. Third place, I can't decide between the Strat, because the Strat in comparison, I listen to everything now. Because usually you have the direct sound coming from the guitar as a player, so this is hard to decide as a listener. So I listen back to everything. And to be honest, the Strat, compared to the Tele, sounded a little fatter to me in retrospect, with everything open. But if I engage the S1 switch on the Tele, this is a really good jazz sound. So if you get hands on an S1 switch, get one. This is really worth it. And yeah, so Gibson Les Paul, standard, classic, whatever version, that's my winner. I hope you like this video. If so, give it a fat thumbs up. Share what your favorite is in the comment section below. And please be kind to one another. I know it's always hard when you have a Strat and the Strat didn't win. And yes, you can play jazz on a Strat. Of course you can. But this is just my humble opinion. So please be kind to one another. And I see you next week. Servus, Baba.